pulled the frame out to do some more sandblasting. And on this other side I've done stuff a little different than on the passenger side. I put the same patch in on this side, but on the driver's side, on the inside, I've taken and I've cut also the bottom out. Earlier in the video you could see there was a big gap right down in here, and what I did was I have this piece of bronze, it's a bar, and I've got it clamped up here, and I just kind of welded right over top of where the gap was and just filled it in with a rod, and it won't weld. Here's a shot of what it looks like on the underneath after unclamping the bronze. You know, the filler rod is just kind of pooled up there. I'll get a grinder on that and that'll clean right up. Here's the last patch plate, all fit and finished, ready to weld in. I'm pretty happy with the way it fit. There's a couple of gaps, but nothing too major. Got it all welded in now. I got a lot more finish work to do, a little more welding and grinding. Terribly boring. Just got the body mount bracket welded onto the driver's side of the frame where I cut it off, and there are just a few little places here that I need to weld still. And that is pretty much it for the frame repair. As you can remember, it was all rotted out here and on the back sides. What I might end up doing next is replacing the bottom piece of the frame rail from here all the way up to probably right about where that hole is in the frame. I'm not sure exactly if I'm going to do that or not. Maybe I'll only replace up to here. We'll have to see how, what kind of shape it's in. But I know in this section here, it was still pretty punky, at least on that side. This side didn't appear to be too bad, but these spacers and the skid plate are bolted up into captured nuts in the frame, and the skid has to come off, and I'm gonna have to cut it, so I'm gonna have to do something with all that. But as of now, it is a repaired, fully functional frame. I'm also going to be relocating the spring perches. As you can see here, the way it sits on the spring, or excuse me, the way the spring sits inside the perch, there's a big gap right here, and it's just, the geometry isn't right. And there's kits you can buy with this bracket and a new plate that kind of corrects this so it's nice and flush, and I'm definitely going to be doing that. Another thing I'm going to do is, I mentioned it before, but I'll say it again, I'm going to get new control arms that are the right size, or excuse me, the right length for this amount of lift. And you can kind of tell by looking at this that the center of the spring on the top and the center of the spring on the bottom is a good 1.5 inches tilted rearwards, and the new control arms will give me a little bit more length and push the rear axle back just a little bit, enough to straighten it out. And after all that fun stuff, we got to put the body all back together. New body mounts. Got a blast here where it's starting to get rusty. New floor pans. And then the cab corner here in the rear. I'm thinking about just cutting this out, the seam out, excuse me, just cutting the seam out and butt welding the pieces of metal together and smooth it over. But we'll see what happens when I get to actually doing it.